I lived in that apartment for 8 months. For the first 7, everything was normal. The last month made me question if I was actually living alone at all. I moved into a second-floor apartment in a pretty quiet building. Only 6 units total. Cheap rent, no complaints. Except one thing. I didn't have an upstairs neighbor. My landlord told me clearly before I moved in. The 3rd floor is empty. Renovation pending. So above me, no one. For months, that was true. No footsteps. No noise, nothing. Then one night around 1:12 a.m. I heard it. A single footstep. Right above my bedroom. I froze. Waited. Nothing. I told myself it was pipes or something settling. Went back to sleep. Over the next few days it started happening more. Always late at night. Slow footsteps above me. Something dragging across the floor. A faint thud. Like something dropped. Every time, same pattern. A few seconds of noise. Then silence. I finally asked my landlord. He looked confused. The top floor is still locked, he said. No one's up there. I didn't push it, but I knew what I heard. A week later, it got worse. Around 2:30 a.m., I woke up to loud walking. Not subtle, clear footsteps. Back and forth, directly above my bed, like someone pacing. I grabbed my phone and recorded it. You could hear it clearly. Step, step, step. Then it stopped. Right above me, and stayed there. Like whoever it was standing still, listening. The next morning I went upstairs. There was a locked door leading to the 3rd floor. I knocked. No answer. I pressed my ear against it. Nothing. Completely silent. A few nights later, something changed. I was in my living room around 3 a.m., wide awake. No noise. Then suddenly, a loud bang from above, so loud it made me jump, followed by dragging. Heavy dragging. Like furniture being moved. I didn't even think. I ran upstairs, started banging on the locked door. Hello? No answer. Just silence again. That's when I noticed something. The lock. It wasn't fully shut. It looked slightly turned, like someone had recently unlocked it. I pushed the door. It opened. Slowly. The 3rd floor hallway was dark, completely empty, but there was dust everywhere. Thick, undisturbed, except for one thing. Footprints, fresh, leading down the hallway. Bare feet. I followed them. Heart pounding. They led to one apartment at the end. Door slightly open. I pushed it. Inside. Nothing. Empty room. No furniture. No lights. Just dust and more footprints. Going in circles. Like someone had been walking around inside for hours. Then I heard it. Behind me, a single footstep. In the hallway. I turned around instantly. No one there. But the dust in the hallway had new footprints, forming. Right in front of me, one step at a time, like someone invisible was walking toward me. I ran. Didn't stop until I was back inside my apartment. Locked the door. Didn't sleep. The next morning, I told the landlord everything. He went upstairs with maintenance. Later that day, he called me. His voice sounded off. He said, "There's no sign anyone's been up there. No footprints. No dust disturbed. Nothing." I moved out 2 days later. Didn't care about the lease. Didn't go back. But here's the part that still messes with me. A week after I left, I got a message from the new tenant. He somehow found my number. He asked me one question. Did you ever hear someone walking above you at night? I didn't reply. But then he sent one more message. It sounds like they're following me now. Installed a camera to feel safer living alone. I ended up catching something that made me realize I was never actually alone. Live in a small apartment on the 2nd floor. After hearing about a break-in nearby, I bought a cheap door security camera that records motion outside my door. At first, it worked exactly how it should, until one night. Around 2:18 a.m. I got a notification. Motion detected. Front door. Half asleep, I opened the app. The hallway outside my apartment was empty. Just the dim light and my closed door. I assumed it was a glitch and went back to sleep. The next night it happened again. Same time. 2:18 a.m. Same notification. This time I watched the clip more carefully. At first, nothing. Then right at the edge of the frame, something moved. Not clearly. Just a slight shift near the wall. Like someone had stepped out of view. The third night I stayed awake. Waiting. At exactly 2:18 a.m. my phone buzzed. I opened the live feed immediately. The hallway was empty again. But something felt wrong. I stared at the screen. And then I noticed it. My door handle. It moved. Very slightly. Like someone had tested it. I jumped up and looked at my actual door. Completely still. No sound. No movement. Now I was fully awake. I kept watching the live feed. Then the camera adjusted exposure slightly, and I saw it. Someone was standing right next to my door. So close they were barely inside the frame. I could only see part of their shoulder. They weren't moving. Just standing there, facing my door. I slowly walked closer to my real door. Heart pounding. The live feed still showed them standing there. I reached out and looked through the peephole. Nothing. Empty hallway. I stepped back, looked at my phone again. They were still there. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning I checked all the recorded clips. Every night at 2:18 a.m. the same thing. Someone standing outside my door, never fully visible, never moving, always just out of frame. That evening I decided to test something. I placed a small object, a shoe, outside my door, just to see if it moved. Then I went to bed. At 2:18 a.m. I got the notification again. I opened the app. The hallway looked the same, but the shoe was gone. I rushed to the door and opened it. Nothing outside. Empty hallway. No shoe. No person. Nothing. Then my phone buzzed again. Another motion alert, but this time, from a different camera, one I didn't even remember installing. Location: inside bedroom. My hands started shaking. I opened the feed. The camera angle showed my bedroom. From the corner, facing my bed, and in the video, I could see myself standing in the hallway, holding my phone, looking confused. The room behind the camera wasn't empty. There was someone standing inside, watching me. My landlord told me there was only one key to my apartment. So when I started hearing someone unlock my door at night, I knew something was very wrong. This happened when I was living alone in a rented apartment. It wasn't a bad place, quiet building, normal neighborhood. Nothing about it felt dangerous, until the lock started moving on its own. I moved into that apartment in early 2025. Second floor, small one-bedroom, cheap rent. The landlord was a middle-aged guy who barely talked. When he handed me the keys, he said something casually. "That's the only key. I don't keep duplicates." At the time, that felt reassuring. Later, it didn't. The first few weeks were normal. No strange sounds. No weird incidents. Just routine life. Then one night I woke up suddenly. No reason. I checked my phone. 2:43 a.m., everything was quiet. Then I heard it. A faint sound from the front door. A metallic click, like someone lightly touching the lock. I sat up immediately, listened carefully. Nothing. I told myself it was probably a sound from another apartment. Went back to sleep. The next night, same thing. I woke up again, 2:43 a.m., and this time the sound was clearer. The lock, turning, very slowly. I froze, didn't move, didn't even breathe properly. The handle didn't move. The door didn't open, just the lock, turning slightly, then stopping. After a few seconds, silence. I got up, walked to the door, and checked it. Still locked, chain still on, everything normal. But I knew what I heard. Over the next few nights, it kept happening. Always the same time, 2:43 a.m., the lock turning slightly, a pause, then silence. Every night, Same pattern. That's when I decided to test something. Before going to bed, I placed a small piece of tape over the lock, so if anyone tried to open it, the tape would break. That night, I woke up again, 2:43 a.m. The sound came. The lock turned. I didn't move, just listened. After a few seconds, it stopped. I got up immediately, turned on the light, checked the door. The tape was still there, not broken. But the lock was slightly turned. That didn't make sense. There was no way someone could turn the lock without touching the tape. Unless they were inside. Escalation. That thought didn't leave my head. The next day I checked everything. Closet, bathroom, under the bed. Nothing. But something felt wrong. Like the apartment wasn't as empty as it looked. That night I didn't sleep. I stayed awake. Lights off. Watching the door. At 2:43 a.m., the handle didn't move. The lock didn't turn. Instead, I heard something else. A soft movement. From behind me. Inside the apartment. I turned slowly. The hallway was dark. Empty. Then I heard it again. A step. Slow. Careful. Coming from the living room. I stood up. Heart racing. Walked slowly toward the hallway. Every step I took, the sound stopped. When I reached the living room, nothing. Empty. I checked everything again. Still nothing. But when I turned back toward my bedroom, my door was slightly open. I was sure I left it open, but now it looked different. Wider, like someone had just walked through it. Peak tension, that's when I realized something. The sound at the door every night wasn't someone trying to get in. It was something checking if I was still inside. The next night I made a plan. I pretended to leave, turned off all the lights, closed the door loudly, waited outside for a few minutes, then quietly unlocked it and went back in. No lights, no sound. I hid in the corner of my living room and waited. Time passed slowly. Then, 2:43 a.m., I heard it. The front door lock, turning, from the inside. My chest tightened. The door opened slightly, very slowly, then stopped, like something was checking outside. Then it closed again, and the lock turned back, from the inside. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Then, footsteps, inside the apartment, moving away from the door, toward the hallway, toward my bedroom. Final twist. I followed the sound slowly, step by step, until I reached my bedroom. The door was open. I looked inside. Empty. But I could hear something. Breathing. Slow. Close. I stepped in. And that's when I noticed something I had never seen before. The closet door was slightly open. I walked toward it, slowly, heart pounding. Then I pulled it open. Inside, nothing. Just darkness. But the smell, like someone had been standing there for a long time. I moved out the next day, didn't wait, didn't question it. But here's the part that still doesn't make sense. A week later, I got a call from the landlord. He sounded confused. He said, "Did you leave your spare key inside the apartment?" I told him there was no spare key. He paused, then said, "We found one inside the closet."